Have you ever felt as if an invisible force was holding your life, as if something around you slowly drained your energy, preventing your right from coming to you? There is a strange, dense, and subtle feeling that hangs over many people without realizing where it comes from. It is as if you walk with a heavy blanket on your shoulders, choking your joy, your mood, your plans, blocking the natural flow of prosperity, health, and peace. Even when you pray, even when you try to change, even when you seek spiritual guidance, something just doesn't seem to work. And at this point, many give up, thinking it is fate. But what if I told you it is not the destination? Is it interference? There is an invisible universe that operates in parallel to our physical world, a place where intentions become shapes, thoughts become currents, and emotions crystallize in energy. Padre Pio, the man who carried Christ's wounds for 5 decades, not only understood this hidden world, he walked through him. Since his youth, Padre Pio had waged battles against forces that most people did not even recognize. He saw what few could see, he felt what others ignored. It was sought by patience that medicine did not heal, for distress that the common words did not comfort, by people who had everything but peace, and he didn't receive them with empty explanations. He offered knowledge, but deep, powerful knowledge, and often kept secret. Among these teachings, one of them remained restricted to the nearest, the sacred use of a simple and everyday element, but with gigantic spiritual power: vinegar. It is not any vinegar, and it is no use. We are talking about a ritual transmitted directly by Padre Pio to his most faithful disciples. These are not superstition or tricks. It is a method, a specific energy pattern, a spiritual code that, when activated in the right way, causes the environment to clean, the neutralization of negative charges, and most importantly, the complete reversal of the energies sent against you. Everything that has been released, thoughts of envy, words of hatred, spiritual works done in the shadows, begins to return, not for revenge, but for divine justice. Padre Pio said that when light is invoked with true faith, it not only dissipates darkness, it reveals its origin. This revelation began to change the lives of thousands of people. It doesn't matter if you are someone of constant faith or if you are just looking for answers to the chaos you have faced. What will be shared here has the power to radically transform the atmosphere of your home, your body, your mind. But before you know the full ritual, you need to understand what is really happening to you and why. Many of the pains you face were not born in you. They were directed. Someone, at some point, saw his happiness, his light, his success, and couldn't stand it. Even with a simple thought, he launched an energy that found openness in his spiritual field. And over time, this energy has multiplied, contaminated his home, his routine, his relationships. The name of that? Spiritual interference. How many times have you seen yourself stuck in repetitive cycles? Same problem with different names. The same frustration manifesting itself in new ways. Difficulties that seem to stick in you without logical explanation. You try to change city, job, partner, but the standard comes back. This is no chance. It is crystallized spiritual pattern, and Padre Pio knew exactly how to break it. He said that the human soul, when sealed by the light of Christ, becomes inaccessible to evil. But for that, she needs to be clean. You need to be free from the ties that have been placed, or that you have allowed, by ignorance, by fragility, for not knowing the invisible force that governs this world. During one of his mystical visions, Padre Pio was instructed about a spiritual process that involved the use of apple vinegar, not as a spice, but as a sacred element, capable of crossing the dense layers of the spiritual plane and dissolving what the eyes do not see, but the heart feels. The living vinegar, the one who still contains the mother, that floating substance rich in enzymes and microorganisms, is more than a liquid. He is an active spiritual organism. When consecrated with prayer and correct intention, he becomes a true sword of light against the shadows that surround you. It cuts energy bows, dissolves negative charges, breaks spells, and returns all interference to its point of origin. But, as Father himself warned, one does not play with spiritual forces. The ritual requires preparation. It needs to be done at the right time, the right way, with the right elements. It is not just spraying a liquid in the corners of the house, it is sealing portals. It is declaring your spiritual sovereignty. It is to recover the authority that was given to you, but for a long time you forgot that you had. And that is exactly what will be revealed in the next blocks. You are here now not by chance. This message did not fall into his hands coincidentally. She came to you because your soul asked for liberation. And now, finally, it's receiving the answer. But beware, not everyone will have the courage to follow until the end. Not all will have their hearts open to accept that there is more between heaven and earth than the eyes can see. But you, if you are here to this point, are because something inside you recognized the truth when listening to you. And this truth begins to echo in every word of this sacred ritual. Soon you will learn the details, the right time to make the ritual, the exact type of vinegar, the specific places of the house where the application should be done, the words that must be said, the signs that will come after spiritual reversal. But before you follow, you need to understand, this ritual is not just a cleaning practice. He is a watershed. It does not only remove evil, he prepares the terrain for the good bloom. Because what's the point of cleaning the field and leaving it empty? Padre Pio's ritual not only expels, he blesses, he seals, it protects. Many, after realizing the ritual, report vivid dreams, revelations, intense physical sensations, pain that disappears, tiredness that disappear. An almost strange peace begins to settle in the environment, and especially new clarity begins to emerge, as if a mist had been removed. The most curious? Sometimes who has done you badly reappears, not with attack, but with regret. Because the light you invoke touches not only your life, but it arouses awareness even in the spiritual aggressor. Father Pio said that divine love is also divine justice, and justice, when manifests, transforms everything around him. Padre Pio never taught anything by chance. He was not an ordinary man, and his life was marked by manifestations that challenge all human logic. From a very young age, as a child, she said she saw spiritual figures walking around the house. Gradually, he began talking to Santos, listening to messages that did not come from this world. And when he became a priest, his mission went beyond the common liturgy. He became a spiritual warrior, an intercessor, a channel between two worlds. During the decades in which he lived in the monastery of San Giovanni Rotondo, he received thousands of letters a month, many of them from desperate, sick, bankrupt, emotionally destroyed people. And curiously, many of these people did not suffer from physical but spiritual evils, blockages, repetitions, diseases that no doctor could diagnose, successive losses without explanation, and he knew how to identify where all this came from. One of the most powerful revelations that Padre Pio shared with his closest disciples involved an ancient spiritual principle. The evil that is sent, when it finds no resistance, sets in. But when he finds a prepared, sealed, purified field, he returns, and returns with redoubled force. According to the saint, this is when what he called vibrational justice happens, and to provoke this return, he taught a ritual received during his mystical experiences. A simple ritual, but of immeasurable power, and the center of this ritual was vinegar. But why the vinegar? Why not any other element? Because vinegar carries in itself a rare transmutation energy. He is born of something sweet, such as wine or apple, and through an intense fermentation process, turns into something acidic, strong, purifying. This symbolic process is one of the greatest spiritual metaphors of existence. What is corrupted can be transformed into something that purifies. And that is why vinegar, especially organic and unfiltered apple, carries both physical and energetic properties. Father Pio said, "What is alive in essence purifies what is dead in energy." The vinegar with the mother still present, that cloudy substance that floats at the bottom of the bottle, is considered a living vinegar. And like every living organism, he interacts with the environment around him. The ritual of vinegar, when done correctly, not only cleans the energy of an environment, it creates a reversing shield, a vibrational field that prevents new loads from entering, and even more so, that returns what has been launched against you. But, as Padre Pio warned, one does not play with this kind of practice. A poorly done spiritual ritual may not only work, but to aggravate the situation. Because when trying to move deep energies without proper preparation, you can open closed portals. Therefore, he emphasized 3 mistakes that should never be made during the ritual. Errors that continue to be made by those who try to do the process anyway, guided by short videos, pieces of information, or tips disconnected from the true teaching. The first fatal error is to use any type of vinegar. The common vinegar of alcohol, industrialized, transparent, and lifeless, does not have the necessary vibrational properties. It can clean physically, but spiritually is sterile. The right vinegar is that of apple, organic, unfiltered, and with the mother. It still carries enzymes, microorganisms, and a living energy signature. The second mistake is to apply vinegar to the wrong places of the house or at random. Each point of the environment has a spiritual function. The corners of the rooms are energy vortices. Mirrors are portals. Beds are centers of vulnerability. Windows are vibrational entrances. Each location must be sealed precisely. The third error, and perhaps the most dangerous, is not to realize the sealing prayer at the end of the ritual. Without this prayer, the spiritual field is open, and if something is expelled, but you don't seal the entrance, something worse can occupy that space. Father Pio was emphatic in saying, light only remains where there is spiritual discipline, and discipline in this case is not hardness. It is commitment. It is respect for what is sacred. The ritual is not a game. It is a key that opens doors, but can also close them forever if you are truly ready to change. Because believe me, after the ritual, your life will no longer be the same. The structures that keep you stuck begins to break. What was hidden reveals itself. What was weight dissolves. And what is yours by right begins, finally flowing. Now that you are absorbing this knowledge, I need to tell you something important. This channel has been created as a spiritual extension of this mission. Here we share revelations, sacred rituals, real stories, and spiritual tools that were hidden for decades. And if you have reached this point of the video, it means that your soul is ready. So now it's time for you to connect more deeply. Subscribe to the channel, not just like a button, but as a commitment to yourself. Here there are no empty promises, no magic formulas. There is truth, there is depth, and there is a call. Activate notifications and remain with us, because this knowledge is alive, and what comes next will be even more revealing. And if you allow me, I want to propose something a little different. Leave in the comments not a simple "I believe" or "Amen." Go beyond. Write a power phrase that represents what you want to release from your life today. It can be something like, "Today, I choose to return all the weight that does not belong to me." Or, "I declare total freedom in my spiritual field." Use your words. Because when you write with intention, you anchor the energy of this choice on the physical plane. You turn your word into seed. And here, each comment is an act of public faith, a vibrational code that spreads and strengthens the entire community. Read other people's comments, answer, connect. We are building a living stream of liberation here, a spiritual family guided by light, justice, and truth. We have reached the most important point of this teaching, the ritual. But before we start, stop for a moment. Take a deep breath, silence the mind, feel the moment you are. Because what will be revealed now is not just a set of instructions. It is a map, a path, a sacred code that needs to be respected with reverence. The ritual that Padre Pio conveyed was not done hurriedly nor with distraction. He required presence, a clean heart, a true intention of liberation. Without it, nothing works. With that, everything transforms. You will need some simple elements, but beware, each one has a specific purpose and should not be replaced. You will need 500 milliliters of unfiltrated organic apple cider vinegar with visible mother. This vinegar is still alive. It carries microorganisms and enzymes that act not only on the physical plane, but vibrate intensely on the energy plane. Father Pio used to say that what is alive in the world of matter also vibrates in the spirit. Therefore, pasteurized, filtered, or synthetic vinegar do not serve for this purpose. You will also need a new spray, never used for other purposes, a new white candle, never used before, a small branch of rose or fresh rosemary, plants known for its spiritual strength of protection, a piece of white paper without lines, a blue pen, and above all, full faith in what is about to happen. The ritual should be performed preferably during the waning moon phase, a spiritual period indicated for banishment, cleaning, and reversal. Father Pio made his rituals of exorcism and prayer of liberation during this phase, for he understood the cosmic influence of moons on the spiritual plane. If you can, choose a night between 9 p.m. and midnight, a period he called the time of spiritual reversal. First of all, you must prepare the space. The room should be clean, not only energetically, but also physically. Remove accumulated clothes, trash, dust, broken objects, or with negative emotional load. The external order facilitates the internal order, said the priest. Then position the elements on a simple altar. It can be a table or chair covered with a white cloth. Light the white candle with intention. Look at the flame and say, in a firm voice and open heart, Heavenly Father, I now invoke the presence of divine light in this space, that this candle represents the fire of righteousness, healing, and purification. By the power of Saint Michael Archangel and the intercession of the blissful Father Pio, I declare that this ritual will be sacred, sealed, and protected. With the paper in hand, write in it all areas of your life where you feel blockages. It can be health, money, family, relationships, business, sleep, mental peace. Write with sincerity. The blue pen represents the protection and the truth. And below each item you write down the following sentence. By the power of Father Pio's sacred ritual, I declare this area of my life completely free from all evil, now and forever. Fold the paper 3 times toward your heart, forming an invisible connection triangle. Press it against the chest. Feel. Imagine every word being absorbed by your spiritual field. See the light entering these areas, dissolving the blockages as smoke in the wind. Now prepare the vinegar. Put the 500 ml in the spray and add the rose or rosemary branch inside it. Hold the spray between both hands as if it were a relic, and recite this invocation 7 times. Sacred vinegar, an instrument of reversal, purification, and truth by the light of Christ and the intercession of Father Pio, now consecrate you as a shield of protection and mirror of divine justice. May all the evil that tapped this liquid is undone, transformed, and returned to its origin. That done, you will begin to spray the vinegar in the environment, following an exact spiritual order. It is not just a matter of direction. It is a spiritual geometry. Padre Pio understood the energy patterns of the house as circuits, and the first step is to seal the 4 upper corners of the room on the ceiling. Go to each corner and spray once, forming a light triangle at each point. This creates what he called the protection pyramid. Then go to the 4 lower corners on the floor and also spray, sealing the base of the pyramid. These 8 points form the basic vibrational field of protection. Now you will make 3 cross-shaped sprays in the following places. 1. About your bed, where you rest and where your body is most vulnerable during sleep. 2. at the entrance of the room to prevent the entry of new negative energies. 3. In the window, purifying the energy currents that come from outside. 4. In all mirrors, for Padre Pio warned, mirrors are invisible eyes. They need to be closed with light. During each spray, visualize the vinegar as a golden mist. See it spreading, penetrating the cracks of the invisible. Imagine the negative energies being dissolved as salt in water. See invisible cords leaving. Listen to the silence taking over the environment, a silence full of presence. Now comes the most subtle part, and also the most powerful, what Padre Pio called the triple reversal. In the center of the room, stand up. With the sprayer, make 3 concentric circles in the air, one inside the other like spirals. And in doing so, say aloud, by the first circle, I neutralize all the evil sent against me. By the second circle, I transmute all energy into light. By the third circle, I return this light to its point of origin so that there is awareness, repentance, and healing there. These 3 circles energetically create a return vortex. Father Pio explained that evil, when he finds no more to settle, seeks to return to origin, and that, when transmuted, does not destroy, transforms. Many people, after performing this last step, report that those who harmed them begin to move away, or even ask for forgiveness spontaneously. This is because the ritual causes a cosmic mirror effect. Consciousness is inevitable. Finish the ritual by placing the paper with your statements under your pillow. He will be there for 3 consecutive nights. During this time, pay attention to your dreams. Father Pio said that the spiritual unconscious reveals itself first in dreams before manifesting itself on the physical plane. If you dream of specific people or intense situations, write down. They are signs. The process is underway. The candle should burn to the end. If you need to go out or sleep, erase it with respect and rekindles the next night until it consumes itself completely. In the 3 days following the ritual, avoid discussions, negative news, loaded environments. Keep a light diet, avoid alcohol, and dedicate at least 10 minutes a day to inner silence or prayer. Your field will be reconfiguring. The environment around you will be cleaning. And it is common for signs such as physical lightness, sudden revelations, thoughts that bring clarity, and even unexpected material manifestations, such as money from unforeseen sources, or people looking for you with proposals. After the sacred ritual of reversal is completed, something begins to happen quietly, like a breath that moves the curtains of a long, closed place. There are no thunder or explosions. There are no exaggerated manifestations. What begins is a process of deep realignment, invisible to the eyes, but immensely noticeable by the soul. And this process is not just because the candle has burned or because you put the spray. He continues. And it will continue for days, weeks, sometimes until months, depending on the spiritual burden accumulated in your life. Father Pio explained that reversal is like a seed thrown on earth. She needs time, care, and silence to break the surface. One of the first manifestations, reported by those who perform the ritual correctly, is the physical sensation of relief. The body reacts. Old pains suddenly cease. A fatigue that once seemed constant begins to disappear. The mind slows down. The chest breathes deeper. Some people wake up the next day feeling as if they had slept for the first time in years. Others have intense dreams, symbolic, revealing, exciting. They dream of spiritual figures, deceased family members with clean waters, with places that convey peace. All of this is a sign that your energy field is freeing yourself from weights you carried without knowing. There is also a change in relationships. People who once avoided you start to get closer. Others who surrounded you with falsehood or envy begins to move away, often suddenly for no apparent reason. This is because the ritual creates a high-frequency field around it, and people who vibrate at low density can no longer stay close. Padre Pio said that the light bothers the eyes used to the shadows, and it's not that these people disappear. They withdraw because the surrounding environment no longer feeds the invisible ties that once kept them connected to you. And there are also material signs, testimonials from people who received unexpected values, opportunities that came out of nowhere, solutions that appeared almost magically. A woman who participated in a silent prayer group oriented by Padre Pio reported that after applying the vinegar ritual exactly as he had taught, a property that had been stranded for years was sold in less than 15 days. Another man, who suffered from intense pain in his legs, felt the pain gradually disappear within 3 days to practice. An indebted entrepreneur received a proposal from a society from an old client who had lost contact, and the list follows. But the most impressive, and perhaps the most disconcerting, are the spiritual effects on who, consciously or unconsciously, has launched negative energy against you. Padre Pio explained that when you invoke the power of reversal with purity, without desire for revenge, the energy does not return to hurt, but to awaken, and this awakening can be painful. Often the person who has launched a spiritual load against you begins to experience similar to those who tried to cause you, not as punishment, but as a mirror. It is at this moment that she can realize the evil she has done. And it is also at this moment that many of them appear in her life, out of nowhere, with an apology, an attempt to reconnect, or even a confession that you never expected to hear. And here is something that few people understand. When the ritual is made with conscience and clean intention, it not only breaks the negative cycle, it can convert this cycle into reconciliation, in collective healing. Because true forgiveness is born only from the consciousness of the evil caused, and often it is the energy of the ritual that activates this consciousness in the other. Often, reports come from people who, after the ritual, find old enemies in vulnerable situations, as if the universe set a victim, an emitter for a spiritual hit. Free will decides the result. It may be reconciliation, it can be definitive removal, but it will never be indifferent, and there is an even deeper phenomenon. As the energies return to their home points, and you will break free from the invisible currents, your spiritual perception expands. You start to feel the environment more clearly. People who once looked neutral now arouse strange sensations. Places I frequented without thinking, they look dense, uncomfortable. This is not paranoia, it is spiritual sensitivity. Padre Pio's ritual not only cleanses, it is also activated. It arouses its natural ability to perceive the invisible. And with that, you start making better choices, to move away from situations that once sucked you without you realizing it, to protect your energy as a precious good. In many cases, positive effects manifest in chain. After the ritual, doors begin to open in areas completely different from life. That project that was standing forward, that impossible debt, begins to resolve. A doctor finds the answer no one thought. A relationship begins to flourish. Not because the ritual is a magic wand, but because by removing the invisible weight that pulled you down, you finally flow with the river of life, as if what was locked were just waiting for a key. And this key is now with you. And that's why it's so important to share this experience with others. Evil acts in silence, in doubt, in ignorance. The light multiplies when shared. This channel is a sacred space, a living community of transformation. Each comment, every account, each testimony lights a new spark in the life of those coming now. So if you have felt something different since you started listening to this message, if you have noticed subtle or deep changes, leave your experience here. Even if it is small, write how you felt, what has changed, what you realized. Sometimes your word is exactly what someone needed to have the courage to start too. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now. But not like who just follows more content. Subscribe as a spiritual covenant. Here you are not alone. Here, each video is a lit candle in the dark. Each teaching is an extended hand. Enable notifications and be with us, because what we are creating goes beyond information. We are forming an egregore of healing, justice, and reconnection with the divine. And if you still have doubts, if you are hesitant, remember, the spiritual enemy will always try to delay your liberation. He whispers that this does not work, that it is not for you, that it is not worth trying. And that's exactly when you get over this barrier that the biggest transformations happen. Padre Pio faced these dark voices daily and responded to them with unshakable faith. And you can do the same. Now that you have traveled this path, which you heard and felt what was revealed, know something has begun to change. Your energy is no longer the same. And no matter if you are going to perform the ritual today, tomorrow, or the next waning moon, the simple fact that you opened up to this knowledge has activated a spiritual movement that no longer comes back. You have been touched by an old, sacred truth, transmitted with love, respect, and purpose by a man who dedicated his entire life to light. Padre Pio was not just a saint of miracles, he was a master of invisible realities. And when he delivered a teaching like this, he did the responsibility of those who know the weight of each word. Therefore, the vinegar ritual is not a sympathy. It is a key, a legitimate tool of liberation. It must be remembered that everything that exists in this world, visible or invisible, obeys laws. Divine justice does not fail, but expects you to activate your free will. Nothing will be done by you, but everything can be done through you. When you act with faith, purity, and conscience, you trigger spiritual mechanisms that were asleep. You become the channel of your own transformation. And this is the greatest gift of the ritual. Return to you what many have taken, control over your own energy. Spiritual reversal is not just an act of defense. It is a silent scream of the soul saying, I remember who I am. This is when you, in the face of the forces around you, declares that you no longer accept to carry what is no longer yours, that you will no longer allow the energies of others to govern your health, your money, your affections. This is the moment when you take your place back, firmly, with serenity, with light. Now, at the end of this teaching, I want to speak directly to your heart. If you felt true in everything I shared here, if something inside you was touched, don't disconnect. Stay with us. Subscribe to this channel not like who only follows content, but as who arrives in a spiritual house. A house where everyone is welcome, where your pains are understood and where your journey is respected. Here we form a community of expanding souls, where each word, each account, each gesture has power. And your place here is already reserved. And more than that, share your story. Count on the comments how you felt with this video, which you have learned, if you have already done the ritual, or if you are preparing to do so. If you have ever lived something like, if any part of this message has touched you deeply, your testimony may be the bridge that someone else needs to cross the dark night of the soul. We read each report with love. We respond. We prayed together. We connect. Here you are, not alone. Here, the light is shared. And as Padre Pio said, pray, wait, and don't worry. The concern is useless. God is merciful and will hear your prayer. May your faith be now your armor. May your home be a sanctuary. May your word be light. And may your spirit walk from today with the certainty that what has been sent against you no longer has power. We see each other in the next videos. May the peace, the light, and the power of the top accompany you.